The gentleman in the grey sweater next to Professor Francis.
Thank you. I do some volunteer work with a small NGO based in Surrey called Access, which is the African Canadian Continuing Education Society. And I've thought of saying something based on what the gentleman over there said about the importance of directing money when it is sent to a third world country and keeping it out of the hands of the government, if you like, and getting it directly to the people. And I just wanted to talk about two things that we've done, which I think are quite significant. When the organization first started, the focus was on giving scholarships to students to go to university. It has grown from that. So now we have primary schools. We give scholarships to secondary students and to university students. We also do adult education, some education regarding farming, AIDS awareness, all of that kind of stuff. But over a period of time, we've shifted from having a Canadian present in Kenya and being the administrator to a staff of Kenyans. So we don't have any Canadians working in Kenya now. The administration, the day-to-day administration, the annual planning, everything is done by a staff of Kenyans. And I think that's a really critical thing because it speaks to the credibility of the organization in that town and the kind of cooperation we get from local and national government. That's one thing. And the other thing is, I was thinking about diaspora. We really don't have any Kenyans in Canada working with us. But what we do have is we work actually in Western Province, which is near the Uganda border. What we do have is a large group, a growing group of people that we helped get through university, people who are now lawyers, doctors, accountants, nurses, teachers, who live in places like, a lot of them in Nairobi, and they have formed an organization to support the work of Access back in their home villages and hometowns. So we see that as a real success, and it actually really helps us in our work here and raising money here in Canada when we can tell people this is happening in Kenya. Kenyans are raising money themselves to support these programs in addition to the funding that we send. And then one last little thing, which is a more personal one. My wife and I, when we were in Kenya a few years ago, met a family, and one of the women in that family was a widow with 4 kids, and in quite desperate straits. And for one reason or another, we ended up buying her a sewing machine. And then when we visited last year, this woman now has a very successful business. She makes clothes and sells clothes. She clothes all her own children. And we had no idea when we did it, just the incredible impact it would have on her life and the life of her family. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts. I think, was there one more comment on this side of the room? Thank you.
Hi. Sorry, I'm also a little bit sick. My name is Hawa, and I identify as being part of the Somali diaspora. I specifically also identify as being a young person, and about 3.5, maybe 4 years ago, my sister and I founded an organization called Point Youth Media, specifically looking to provide media art skills to youth who didn't have access to a resource to learning these skills, which we have done several times in Surrey and Vancouver, and have also expanded to Kampala, Uganda, Masaka, Uganda, and Arusha, Tanzania, with plans to move into Nairobi as well. I have a slightly very different view on development, especially as a young person, and I see within my peers that perspective is changing dramatically. The young people are either being asked as young professionals after they finish university to go and provide help, or are deciding to reconnect with the diasporas that they might be aware of in their own families. My mother raised me with a very strong focus on the Somali part of me, and was very adamant that we maintain a connection to her homeland, which I don't know if many of you know has been torn apart by tons of civil war in the last 20 some odd years. And I wanted to share a number of two different stories specifically. One, the organization that we're partnered with in Uganda specifically operates as a community center and was founded by a local Ugandan, and we partnered them. Sorry, my mic is like in and out, isn't it? Okay. And we partnered with them specifically because they were providing services that Ugandan youth had asked for. And I think that's a huge piece, is that what often happens is folks walk in and see situations that are happening in a country, and without asking folks what they want to see happen, develop strategies and develop fundraising plans for them that have no actual analysis of what's taking place. And our intention when we walked in was specifically to work with young people in eventually training them in these media arts skills, so that in 4 to 5 years we could walk away, and that they would have the skills that they needed and the equipment that they needed and the ability to find more equipment should they need it. Several of our youth that we've trained over 200 youth at this point in how to use basic point-and-shoot digital cameras, camera phones, which are huge at this point in time, and video cameras. And many of them can edit and shoot their own photographs. Many of them have also been offered small positions in photography studios where they shoot like wedding photos and are backups for extra cameras, because there aren't a ton of people who have these marketable skills, so they're able to use them to get work. The organization we're also partnered with, as part of our partnership agreement, has also asked us to bring materials and things that the youth have made and showcase them, and that the fundraisers we hold, all the money that gets donated, goes directly back to them with no administration fees. It's a simple enough process. We're carrying baggage over and we're carrying baggage back, and it's a simple enough matter to come with one less bag and to leave with one more bag and to take that material over. So those are two, I think, really important examples of young people specifically in Kampala and Masaka, who have designed their own method of having us fundraise for them. So essentially, we're just moving stuff around, and they've already decided what we're going to move and how much of it we're going to move. And they contact us ahead of time and let us know what they want to be taught. So last year they decided that stop motion would be a good idea, and said that when we came in June it would be a great idea for us to come with some cameras to teach them stop motion. So I think the most effective piece of my role as part of the Somali diaspora and a much larger African diaspora, and randomly as part of the youth diaspora, is that I can bring skills and share those skills with other folks, and at that point leave folks to decide what they want to do with those skills to create their own processes and just stay connected and to open up dialogue, much like this is doing.
Thank you very much for sharing your story. I think we have time for one more comment right here.
Thank you, Margaret. My name is James Kamau. I'm the founder of Youth Initiative Canada, and also the co-founder of Green African Entrepreneurs. Some of the things that I would like to share first is that I connect with what my friend Hawa was saying in regards to how young people are perceived when it comes to development issues. Like a good example is that I started Youth Initiative Canada in 2008. And it's been a challenge, like even getting grants or funds to kind of do the programs that we do, like here in Vancouver and in Africa. And it's not because we don't have the capacity, but it's because that we don't fall under the eligibility like clauses where like you have to be in existence for 3 years, you have to have $50,000 and all that kind of stuff. So anyways, I'd like to share about some of the programs that I'm doing in Kenya. I just came back from Kenya 5 days ago. And I've been involved in youth empowerment through music, sports, and entrepreneurship. And I think sports and arts is something that has been put aside when it comes to developmental issues. And those are some of the things that young people like, and most of them right now are earning a living through those things. Like a good example, I grew up in a community called Dagoretti, and 80% of my peers right now are playing professional soccer in Kenya and out of Kenya, and they're getting paid for that. And these are people that grew up in abject poverty, but they've managed to turn the cycle of poverty through playing soccer, through kicking the ball. And another program that I also launched is called Beyond Hoops. And Beyond Hoops is using basketball as a vehicle for social change. And I had a chance to do a 5-day basketball camp in Kenya in partnership with an organization from New Jersey called Africa Basketball Online. And through the program that we did, we had 5 kids that got college scholarship because they had the talent, not because they could afford to pay for their university education. So I think those are some of the things that should be put into consideration when it comes to reporting back about some of the things that the communities are doing towards eradicating poverty. One of the things that is also a major challenge is that most of the efforts that are done in the community are not on record. So you find that, for example, the status report that Kenya presented at the UN summit for the MDG reporting is the same one from 2006 to 2010. So does that mean that there was no progress that was made? I don't think so, because there's a lot of energies, a lot of efforts that our young people are doing on the ground, but they're not highlighted when it comes to reporting back. And another thing that I'd like to touch on is the diaspora disconnect. There's a lot of organizations that are serving the diaspora, especially like I identify with the Kenyan diaspora, with the African diaspora. And we find that instead of putting together our synergies and do things collectively, it ends up being competition. So you find that what Organization A is doing in Uganda, there's 3 other organizations doing the same thing in Uganda. However, they cannot come together and work as a team. My friend Amos talked about how CEDA is directing monies like the government, which is not the best ideas. Like, most governments have great intentions, but when it comes to their way of doing things, it's very different. So my advice will be, if the diaspora, we can come together as a collective and approach CEDA like, hey, we have a project here for Kenya, and we have 10 Kenyan organizations that are doing entrepreneurship, that are doing women empowerment, and this is our proposal. I think that will have more weight than going as an individual diaspora and trying to get the support of the funds to do those kind of things. And my last point that is very close to my heart is that as diaspora, and when you go back to where we come from and to do the community work, most of the times, most of the people go as teachers, which I find is not the right approach. We should go as students, because at the end of the day, the people on the ground, they have the indigenous knowledge and they know what they want. They only need support to get to where they want to get, or to achieve the vision. And when the diasporas, if we go there as students and we work with them as a team, not as donors or sponsors, we work in partnership where there's equal level of bargaining of what should be done and what should be done. I think that will provide a sense of ownership, which even when we are not there, things will still continue happening. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for sharing your stories and your thoughts. And it seems we've just gotten started with a very interesting discussion, and we are at the end of this evening.